Hello everyone, I'm Watson. In this video we're going to talk about the difference between a network switch, an Ethernet switch, and a PoE switch. First, let's talk about the Ethernet switch and the network switch. The network switch is a device that connects multiple devices together and allows it to expand the LAN, which is the local area network. While an Ethernet switch is also known as routers. Routers, they connect our devices and networks together and act as like a dispatch center, which helps us direct the data package to the right place in the fastest course. When it connects to the internet, it will allow us, all the devices connected to the Ethernet switch, to access the internet at the same time. So basically, you can use an Ethernet switch to connect multiple network switches together to expand the network. And then here is the PoE switch. The PoE switch is much more interesting because the PoE switch can provide power. Usually a network switch and an Ethernet switch only provides the data to the IP devices, while the PoE switch can provide power and data. That's the most convenient thing for PoE technology. It saves us like the extra power cord for all those IP devices as long as the power budget is enough and we have our ending devices, the terminal devices with PoE enabled. We can use an Ethernet cable to provide the power to the camera or the IP devices on the other end. In this case, we save the trouble for getting another power cord connecting to our electric outlet. So for PoE switches, they're usually divided in two categories. One is the managed PoE switch and one is the unmanaged PoE switch. You can tell by the names, the only difference is one is being managed and one is not. And what are so different about these? Well, let's take a look. Today we're going to talk about the unmanaged PoE switch. The unmanaged PoE switch, we Fastcabing carry a lot of kinds, and today we're going to open box an 8-port PoE unmanaged switch. So let's take a look at a general unmanaged switch. They have the Ethernet ports right here, the PoE ports. They use Ethernet cables to connect. When you plug in the Ethernet cable, that's all you need to do. This is a simple plug-and-play device. A plug-and-play device means all you need to do is like plug the Ethernet cable in the right place, and we don't need to configure it. Like we don't need to calibrate it. We don't need to like set how much bandwidth, how much power output we want. Everything is set already. All you need to do is plug and play. So basically, like if we know that this power for the PoE switch is enough to provide for this IP camera right here, we need to just plug it like this and it will power the camera and provide power and data on its own. We don't need to do nothing at all. And these two ports, you can see they're kind of like divided from these four. These two are kind of different. They don't have PoE features. We call them the Uplink ports. These are used to connect to like the internet. Like if we want to access to the internet, we need to connect our main network Ethernet cable to here, and this will help us upload all the data we gather from the IP devices to the network internet. And also, these have two ports because sometimes we use PoE switches for surveillance systems, and cameras will need to be, the image from the cameras, like the video footage, will need to store them in some way. This is when an NVR, which is a network video recorder, comes in handy. An NVR will help us record and save all the footage on the hard disk drive, and this uplink port will connect to the NVR, and usually uplink ports have higher bandwidth for us to upload faster because they don't need PoE, so all they need to do is focus on transmitting the data to a device. And most of the PoE switches, you can see they have a power source built in, so all we need to do is connect to the PoE switch with our electric outlet, like a 220 volts electric cable here, and connecting to our electric outlet, and this will provide the power for it. And this is mostly how PoE switches are built. And another fact is there is one of these ground link spots for us to ground the PoE, because this whole PoE switch is metal outing, so the metal case will sometimes conduct electricity. All right, that's pretty much it for a general introduction. Now let's do an open boxing and see what kind of things we will get when we purchase one of our Fastcabing PoE switches. All right, now let's take a look right here. This is our 8-port 2 uplink port PoE switch. Now once we receive this package, you just open it and you can see there is some film protecting this PoE switch. This one is a regular unmanaged PoE switch with 2 uplink ports and 8 PoE ports. 8 PoE ports meaning connecting to 8 PoE devices. You can say a maximum of 8 surveillance cameras in our system, and each of them have a 30 watts maximum power output, which is totally enough for regular IP surveillance cameras. And 2 uplink ports, one to connect to the internet, giving us the ability to access our system online, and another we can use it to connect to an NVR, or either of devices that we need to use to connect to this. Any kind of uploading devices will just use the uplink ports, so basically you have 10 ports in total. You don't need to worry, this is usually enough for like small sized businesses. And right here on the back, of course, the power source is built in with a grounding spot. Now that's basically our PoE switch, and also really easy to use, a plug and play device. And also our PoE switches have a very interesting function, which is called the watchdog function. The watchdog function means whenever one of the ports will detect the IP device is disconnected or somehow, it will break down the connection and restart it again and see if it can like reboot the whole connection on its own. So it's basically like we have a very kind of intelligent guard for helping us protect our device. So that's what we receive. That's the main item we're going to receive in the package. Let's take a look at everything else. We have an Ethernet cable for you, and also the power source, 220 volts power cable. And that's basically it. That's like everything you need to set up a PoE switch. Everything else, like for connecting IP cameras, you can get the Ethernet cables on your own. Doesn't really matter which type, but I recommend to get Cat 6 or more advanced, more improved ones, because those we use like pure copper or Ethernet cables to promise we have full efficient transmission. If we use one of those hybrid iron cables, and this will kind of drop our efficiency for transmission. Alright, that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave them at the section below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.